Today I'm going to spill the tea on Tinder, and by tea I obviously mean coffee. Hey y'all, my name is Taylor. If you've never met me in real life before, I put out new videos every single Monday and Friday. I would love if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can follow along on my journey. Dating during this decade is a nightmare, and I have subscribed to some of those nightmare scenarios, one of which is called Tinder. Now, if you're living under a rock, Tinder is a social media app in which you swipe right or left based off of just a few sentences and a picture of somebody, and then from there you can continue on a conversation. I was on Tinder there for a hot minute, and so today I wanted to share with you some of my Tinder horror stories. So I got on Tinder in 2018 around February or March. It was something that all of my friends were doing, and I thought, hey, why not just try? That's Ellie, by the way. So I got on Tinder, I set the ages in which I was interested in, and then I proceeded to swipe right or left on people, began to match with people, and began to have conversations with individuals. I started to get asked out on dates. My roommate advised me that I needed to always meet people in a public place, never let them pick me up, that kind of thing. So I took her advice on that for the most part. The very first date I went on, the guy had lied about his age. So I was 22 at the time, and I had set my age as 23 to like 29 you had to be. I show up on this date, we're talking, this guy ends up being 19. 19. Nothing wrong with age gap relationships, but he lied right off the bat and thought I wouldn't find out. I mean, it was just ridiculous, my very first Tinder experience, and this guy lies about his age by 5 years because he had written that he was 25 when in fact he was 19. We didn't go on a date after that. Another little Tinder mini horror story is I decided to go on a coffee date with this one guy. I really liked doing coffee dates when I was on Tinder because if it was going poorly, you could just down your coffee and be like, oh, all done. If you're at a restaurant, you have to wait for your food, you have to wait for the check. If it's going bad, there's not a lot you can do to speed up the process. But on a coffee date, you can. So we went to go get coffee, and he was 30 minutes late. 30 minutes late. I sat and waited for this guy for 30 minutes, and then it was an awful date, awful conversation. I literally, at the end of it, like toward when I was getting ready to go, I was like, just like downing my coffee. That way I could be like, oh, coffee's all gone, gotta leave. Another kind of Tinder nightmare is that everyone talked about sex. I cannot tell you the amount of messages I had that were just crude and disrespectful and just all around insulting, just all kinds of sex comments, and the amount of people that you have to delete and block just gets to be a little overwhelming. Another little Tinder horror story is that I was actually catfished, and by being catfished, it was literally, he was about 200 pounds larger than the picture. The picture wasn't even of him. It was quite a nightmare, and I think I'm going to make a whole video about being catfished and maybe some ways that you can not put yourself in that same scenario. I think that's something you have to keep in mind when online dating, is that people can put whatever they want up there, and you are running the risk of that not actually being them. Another Tinder nightmare is that there was a guy who turned into a stalker. A legitimate stalker. He was showing up at my house, showing up at my school. Legitimately the creepiest thing that I think I've ever experienced, and for that one, that is another one that deserves a whole nother video in and of itself, because this Tinder guy literally turned into, he had an obsession with me that was not warranted to say the least. And then the last thing is that I had been on Tinder for a few weeks, and then I got in a relationship and obviously had deleted Tinder, and then after we had broken up, I had gotten back on Tinder because I thought it would be a good idea. It was a dumb idea. And everyone talked about my ex. I got more messages about my ex than I needed. So I pulled off of Tinder for that reason. I also pulled off for the sex. I also pulled off because I just wasn't in a place to date at that point. But trying to find new people and all they do is bring up the fact that you dated so-and-so was really difficult. So these are just a few little mini stories about times that I had on Tinder, times that I do not want to go back to, and times that I hope you can learn from and be more careful should you be on a site like that, although I do not advise it. I'm going to go into detail about some of these little stories in other videos because they weren't a whole thing, but for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to show you little glimpses of what happened during my time on Tinder. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. If you haven't already, now's your time to click that little subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.